Most mechanics won't tell you this, but fuel additives are mostly garbage, and some can actually destroy your engine. I tested 8 brands with professional diagnostic equipment, sent samples to a lab, and used a borescope to see what actually happens inside your fuel system. The results? Most bottles are worthless, 3 actually work, and 1 type will wreck your fuel pump. Stay until the end because I'm showing you the exact diagnostic numbers that prove which additives clean deposits and which ones are just expensive gasoline. Before we talk about which products work, you need to understand what's happening inside your engine. When gasoline burns, it leaves carbon deposits behind. That's just physics. Incomplete combustion creates residue on your intake valves, on your fuel injectors, and inside your combustion chamber. Now, modern top-tier gasoline actually has detergents in it that prevent this buildup. On newer engines using good quality gas, these detergents work pretty well. The problem starts after 60 or 70,000 miles, especially if you've been buying cheap gas at no-name stations. That's when the buildup gets ahead of what the detergents can handle. Here's what most people don't know. The only chemical that's been proven to actually remove carbon deposits is called PEA, which stands for polyethyramine. Sounds fancy, but here's the catch. Most bottles at the auto parts store contain almost none of it. I sent 8 different products to a laboratory for testing. This bottle right here claims maximum cleaning power on the label. Lab results? 145 parts per million PEA. You know what concentration you actually need to remove deposits? At least 300 parts per million. This bottle is worthless, but they still charge you $12 for it. See, what they're doing is filling these bottles with carrier solvents, which is basically paint thinner mixed with a tiny amount of the stuff that actually works. That's the scam. They make it look professional, put some technical words on the label, and charge you premium prices for diluted junk. But there are 3 products with real PEA concentration that actually clean your fuel system. I'm going to show you exactly which ones in just a minute. However, there's one category of additives that mechanics see destroy fuel systems all the time, and I need to warn you about those first, because using the wrong product can cost you thousands in repairs. All right, listen carefully to this part. Stay away from anything labeled power booster or instant performance increase or anything with high methanol content. Here's what happens when you use these products. Methanol and alcohol-based additives eat fuel system seals. I'm talking about the rubber O-rings on your fuel injectors, the gaskets in your fuel pump, your fuel lines themselves. You use this stuff for just a few months, and you're looking at corroded components throughout your entire fuel system. The damage happens slowly, so you don't notice it right away, but it's happening. Then there are products with something called MMT, which is methyl cyclopentadienyl, manganese, tricarbonyl. These products coat your oxygen sensors. Your check engine light comes on, you start throwing lean codes, and the only fix is replacing the sensors. That's $300 to $400 just for parts and labor. So if you see any bottle promising crazy power gains saying race formula or marked not legal in all states, just don't buy it. You'll damage your fuel system and spend way more money fixing it than you'll ever save on the additive. These products are designed for race cars that get torn down and rebuilt constantly, not your daily driver. Now that you know what to avoid, let me show you when you actually need fuel additives in the first place, because honestly, most people don't. Here's what most people get wrong. If you're using top-tier gasoline and your car runs fine, you don't need additives. Period. You're wasting money. But how do you know if you actually have a problem? Let me show you the professional way to diagnose this. Connect a scan tool. Even a cheap $20 Bluetooth adapter works for this. You're going to check your fuel trims. You'll see 2 numbers on the screen: short-term fuel trim and long-term fuel trim. If both numbers are between -5 and +5%, your fuel system is clean, no additives needed. The computer is barely making any adjustments, which means everything is working perfectly. Look at this. 2019 Camry with 55,000 miles. Short-term fuel trim shows +2.3%. Long-term shows +1.8%. Both numbers are well within normal range. This engine is clean. If the owner adds Techron to this tank, he's literally just wasting $12 because the engine doesn't need it. Now, look at this completely different situation. This is a 2015 Ford Fusion with 92,000 miles. Short-term fuel trim at idle shows positive 14.6%. Long-term shows positive 8.2%. See that? The computer is adding almost 15% more fuel just to keep the engine running at idle. Something's restricting fuel flow. Now watch what happens when I rev it. At higher RPM, the fuel trim drops down to positive 3%. That tells me it's not a vacuum leak, because a vacuum leak would show high fuel trim at all engine speeds. This is specifically a fuel delivery problem at low speeds. Classic sign of dirty fuel injectors that aren't atomizing the fuel properly when they're barely open at idle. When you open them more at higher RPM, they flow enough to compensate. So here's when you actually need fuel additives. Number 1, high fuel trim numbers. Anything over plus 10% at idle means your injectors are clogged or dribbling instead of creating a proper spray pattern. Number 2, check engine light with lean codes. That's code P171 or P174. Those codes mean the system is too lean, and dirty injectors could be the cause. Number 3, rough idle or hesitation that gets better at highway speeds. If it's rough all the time, you've got bigger problems than an additive can fix. You probably have a mechanical issue like worn spark plugs or low compression. Number 4, and this is a big one, GDI engines past 60,000 miles. That's gasoline direct injection. Ford, Mazda, Volkswagen, Audi, most modern engines use GDI technology. These engines get intake valve deposits that older port injection engines don't get. That's just how they're designed. The fuel sprays directly into the cylinder, so it never washes the intake valves clean. Additives can help reduce those deposits, though they can't completely eliminate them. Now, when additives won't help at all, if your oxygen sensor has failed, dumping fuel cleaner in the tank won't fix it. You need a new sensor. If your fuel pump is weak or dying, additives won't help. You need a new fuel pump. If your spark plugs are worn out, you need spark plugs, not chemicals. Always diagnose the actual problem first. Don't just throw bottles at your gas tank hoping something magically works. Alright, so now that you know when you need them, let me show you which products actually clean deposits and which ones are complete junk. I tested these products with laboratory analysis for PEA concentration, and I used borescope inspections before and after treatment. Here's what actually works and what you should avoid. Let's start with the cheap stuff. These budget cleaners that cost $6 to $10. These are the bottles you see at gas station checkouts, STP, Prestone, generic store brands. I tested 8 of them. They all share one problem: almost no PEA. We're talking 120 to maybe 200 parts per million. That's nowhere near enough to clean anything. This one says maximum cleaning power right on the label. Lab test shows 145 parts per million actual PEA content. To get the same cleaning effect as one good bottle, you'd need to use 3 of these. So you're spending $25 instead of $12, and you're still not getting the same result. Skip these completely. They're false economy. Now, the mid-tier cleaners. This is the $10 to $15 range, and this is where you find products that actually work for reasonable money. I'm talking about Chevron Techron, Redline SI1, and Royal Purple Max Clean. Chevron Techron Concentrate Plus tested at 550 parts per million PEA in the lab. That's real cleaning concentration. I ran this through that Ford Fusion I showed you earlier, the one with plus 14% fuel trim at idle. After 500 miles with Techron in the tank, the fuel trim dropped to positive 4.8%. That's measurable improvement you can verify with a scan tool. The computer needed to add less fuel, which means the injectors were flowing better. Look at the borescope footage. See this intake valve before the treatment? Carbon buildup covering the entire surface. Here's the same valve after 500 miles with Techron. You can actually see clean metal again. It works. Cost? $12 for a bottle that treats 20 gallons. That's 60 cents per gallon, which is reasonable for the results you're getting. Redline SI, when tested at 480 parts per million PEA. Almost as good as Techron, sometimes cheaper depending where you buy it. Works well, especially for GDI engines. Usually runs about $11 to $13. Royal Purple Max Clean came in at 620 parts per million PEA. That's the highest concentration in this price range. Really good for seriously dirty engines. About $15 if you've got 100,000 miles or more and you've never cleaned your fuel system. I'd use this one first, then switch to Techron for maintenance. These 3 products, Techron, Redline, and Royal Purple, they actually work. Use one of them every 10,000 miles if you've got a high mileage engine. For most people, this is all you need. Now, the professional grade stuff. These cost $18 to $25. Products like BG44K and Liqui-Moly Jectron have 800 to 1,100 parts per million PEA. That's serious concentration. BG44K is what dealerships use. 1,100 parts per million PEA. I tested this on a 2015 Audi, a 4 with a GDI engine, 88,000 miles, throwing misfire codes. One bottle, 250 miles of driving, and the borescope showed 62% reduction in intake valve deposits. The misfire codes cleared completely. Cost? $22 for the bottle. So when do you need this expensive stuff? GDI engines with actual symptoms like rough idle, hesitation, or misfire codes, vehicles failing, emissions testing, really neglected engines that have never been cleaned before. For those situations, the $22 bottle might save you hundreds in shop labor because you're avoiding a walnut blasting service or injector cleaning. But if your engine is running fine, you don't need this. The $12 Techron works just as well for regular maintenance. Use professional grade when you have problems. Use mid-tier for maintenance. Don't spend more than you need to. Now, if you own a diesel truck, this is completely different. When they switch to ultra-low sulfur diesel, they remove the natural lubrication from the fuel. That means your fuel injectors are wearing faster because there's no lubricity in the fuel anymore. Diesel fuel injectors cost $300 to $500 each. You've got 6 or 8 of them depending on your engine. If they fail, you're looking at a $3,000 to $4,000 repair. Diesel additives with lubricity enhancers, $15 every 5,000 miles. That's cheap insurance. Power Service Diesel Clean Boost Cetane adds lubricity, prevents gelling in winter, about $12 to $15 per bottle. Hot Shot's Secret Diesel Extreme runs around $20, but it has excellent lubricity numbers. Lab testing shows 520 microns on the HFRR test, which is excellent protection for your injectors. If you're in cold climates like Minnesota, Montana, anywhere it hits 15 degrees or below, you absolutely need anti-gel additive in winter. Diesel fuel gels up below 15 to 20 degrees, your truck won't start, and you're stuck. Power Service makes a winter formula. Use it. Don't be cheap about this. Diesel owners need to use additives every single tank. This isn't optional. You're protecting a very expensive fuel system. Quick word about octane boosters. These are the biggest waste of money at the auto parts store. Your owner's manual tells you what octane to use. Most cars need 87 regular. Some turbo cars and high compression engines need 91 or 93. That's it. These bottles claim they boost octane and increase power. I tested 5 different brands. You know how much they actually raise octane? Half a point. You're going from 87 to 87.5 octane. That does absolutely nothing for your engine. Here's the math. The bottle costs $8 and treats 1 tank. Premium fuel at the pump costs about 40 cents more per gallon. For a 15-gallon fill-up, that's $6 for real 91 octane. Why would you pay $8 for fake 87.5 octane? It makes no sense. Skip octane boosters unless you're tuning a race car with custom programming. For daily drivers, complete waste of money. Last category, fuel stabilizers like Stabil and Startron. These are for one thing only, storing vehicles. Classic car sitting for winter? Boat only used in summer? RV that sits for months at a time? Use fuel stabilizer. It prevents gasoline from oxidizing and gumming up your carburetor or injectors. See this carburetor from a lawnmower that sat all winter with no stabilizer? Gummed up solid, won't run, needed a complete rebuild. A $12 bottle of Stabil would have prevented this. But if you drive your car regularly, you don't need this. Fuel stabilizer is for storage, not daily drivers. All right, so if you've determined you actually need a fuel additive, high fuel trim symptoms, whatever the case may be, here's how to use it properly. Most people do this completely wrong and then complain it didn't work. First, timing matters. Add the additive when your tank is almost empty, like 2 to 3 gallons left. You want high concentration during the first cleaning cycle. If you dump it in a full 15-gallon tank, you just diluted it by 80%. It's not going to work nearly as well. Second, after adding the cleaner, fill up with premium fuel, either 91 or 93 octane. Higher octane burns hotter and that helps the PEA work better to break down deposits. Yeah, it costs a few dollars more for one tank, but you're trying to actually clean your engine, so use quality fuel while the cleaner is active. Third, and here's the critical part, your first 50 to 100 miles need to be highway driving. Not city driving, not short trips. You need sustained high RPM, somewhere between 2,500 and 3,500 revolutions per minute for the cleaner to actually work. The combustion chamber needs to reach 1,200 degrees Fahrenheit or more to vaporize the PEA and let it circulate through the fuel system and do its job. Every 25 miles or so, do a few hard accelerations. Get on the highway, floor it from 35 up to 65. Hold it at 4,000 revolutions per minute or more for 10 to 15 seconds. This is called an Italian tune-up. You're burning off deposits while the cleaner is active in the system. Do this 3 or 4 times during that first tank. Finally, verify your results. After you've gone through that first tank with the cleaner in it, connect your scan tool again. Check your fuel trims. If the additive actually worked, you should see improvement. Fuel trim numbers should be closer to 0. If they don't change at all, either you didn't need it in the first place, or the product you used was junk. Biggest mistake I see people make, they add cleaner to a full tank, then do nothing but city driving for a week. The cleaner never gets hot enough to activate properly. It just gets diluted and burned off without cleaning anything. You completely wasted your money doing that. Second mistake is using multiple additives at the same time. People think, well, if one is good, 2 must be better. No, chemicals can interact in unpredictable ways. Use one product at a time, see if it works, then move on if you need to try something else. Now let's talk reality. Fuel additives are not magic in a bottle. They can clean deposits from injectors and valves. That's it. That's all they do. They cannot fix these problems. Failed fuel pumps. If your fuel pump is weak or dying, no additive is going to bring it back to life. You need a new fuel pump. Test your fuel pressure first. If it's low, replace the pump. Don't waste money on additives. Bad oxygen sensors. Oxygen sensors typically fail somewhere between 80 and 100,000 miles. When they go bad, your fuel trims go crazy, your check engine light comes on, and your gas mileage tanks. What fixes that problem? A new oxygen sensor, not an additive bottle. Worn spark plugs. Spark plugs wear out. At 60 to 100,000 miles, depending on the type, you need new ones. Misfires from worn plugs actually create more carbon deposits because you've got incomplete combustion happening. Fix the spark plugs first, then worry about cleaning deposits afterward. Mechanical problems. If you've got low compression from worn piston rings, if your valves aren't sealing properly, if your head gasket is leaking, fuel cleaner isn't going to help any of that. These are mechanical problems that need mechanical repairs. This is exactly why I always say diagnose first, treat second. Don't just throw parts or chemicals at a problem hoping it magically goes away. Connect a scan tool. Check your fuel pressure. Do a compression test if you need to. Find out what's actually wrong with your car. Then fix it the right way the first time. Fuel additives are a tool in your toolbox. They're useful for cleaning fuel injector deposits and helping maintain GDI intake valves. But they're not a substitute for proper maintenance or real repairs. Don't expect miracles from a $12 bottle. Fix what's actually broken. So there you go. Fuel additives work if you use the right ones in the right situation. But here's the truth. Most people don't need them at all. Use top-tier gasoline, change your oil on time, replace your air filter and spark plugs when you're supposed to, and your engine will stay clean all by itself. But if you've got high mileage, you're seeing symptoms, your fuel trims are showing problems, use Chevron Techron Redline SI1 or Royal Purple Max Clean. Those 3 actually work. Everything else is either overpriced or complete junk that won't do anything. And remember this, if somebody's trying to sell you race formula additives or instant power boosters, just walk away. That stuff destroys fuel systems. Not worth the risk. If this video helped you out, hit that thumbs up button. Want to see more real diagnostic information about car maintenance without the marketing nonsense? Click that next video where I'm showing you 7 fuel injector cleaners that do nothing, and the 3 that work that mechanics actually recommend. I'll prove it with real scan tool data. Subscribe to Car Care Simplified. And remember, if you can't fix it, don't break it.